armstrong.com. My name is Brian Doc Holiday, and to my left, my co-host,
JawzD.
JawzD representing. And then on the line, we are honored to welcome our guest,
Hilton George.
Yeah.
Blerdcon CEO and con chair. Stuck in traffic.
Yeah. So if you hear random swears, people, it's because of the traffic, and we're okay with that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So this is actually, so last time you and I spoke, I was doing the show live from a radio station, but I don't do it at the radio station anymore. I ended up, because I studied sound engineering, bought all my own equipment and started my own thing, and we broadcast live through this service called Mixler, which allows us to do live broadcast over the internet.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
It is awesome. And then we turn the episodes into podcasts really easily, so it's really fun. I have a great time doing it. Just to let the listeners know, there is going to be a small pause at some point because we're going to be having another guest who's doing their best to come in. So for all of you listening live, there will be a short pause. For those of you listening on the podcast, when this is produced later, you won't notice because it'll be edited out. But yeah, today we are here because we are going to be talking about, I think even though it's only February, we easily say the movie of the year.
Yeah.
Hilton, what do you think?
It's the greatest movie ever made.
You know when you have a rapper...
I've been saying that for 2 months.
I know, yeah.
You know when you have a rapper that's like ready to come out and like has this like hot album that's coming out and just like boom puts it all on the table because it might be his last.
Yeah,
that was it. I think that was it.
Oh, that's how you feel. You feel like
that's what I feel about
MCU was just like, this could be the last good thing we ever release.
It's insane that this is Ryan Coogler's third movie.
Yeah,
third movie.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that brother got 2 more wishes on that lamp he wrote. Because whatever he wished for, he got. Man, I'm telling you that. It was smooth. It was well written. The character development was on point.
Yeah.
The script, multiple plot lines, the special effects, cinematography. I mean, this movie had no flaws, and I've seen it 3 times this weekend.
Damn, 3 times. I saw it twice, so I shouldn't say damn like it's crazy.
All of you guys are better than me. I still got 2 more to see.
2 more times. So you've only seen it once?
I've only seen it once.
That's okay.
Disney gonna get that money, man.
Yeah,
you might as well just go on and accept it. Disney's got that money. They getting it. Just go on. It's like Debo pulling up to the porch.
I mean, yeah, man, it's a pretty crazy adventure. I know a lot of people have been crazy excited for this for a long time. We all wanted to see more diverse. I mean, one of the things, you and I are both members of Blerd Hub on Facebook, and I think one of the things I've seen people say the most is, there's that request for diversity. 17 movies with white male leads, it made sense that finally, when you diversify, you get that response, that positive response from the public of like, it's not to say the other movies weren't good. It's just that, 17 of the same thing, as good as it is, it's still 17 things of similar things in a row.
Yeah.
And I feel like people were hungry for something different, not just for the purposes of diversity, but they were just hungry to see something change a little bit.
This movie took it to a different level because, when we talk about diversity, up until this movie, we've been talking about things like Luke Cage, even Blade, and you got Black Lightning. These are all aspects of the African American experience. And even for those of us who are younger and maybe don't remember some of these characters from the 70s and 60s and 80s, we have some familiarity. We even if we haven't been to Harlem, we know where Harlem is. And we know what soul food and soul music is and Pop's Barbershop and all that.
Yeah.
But when you go to a fictional Afrofuturistic, African nation that the directors and the writers and the producers went to great lengths to pull from actual tribal garb and tradition and music and language, we were transported too.
Yeah.
White people, black people, we all sitting in the audience with our jaws on the ground talking about, damn, like, we didn't know that it was like this, so it was an adventure into diversity on a level and to a scale that I don't even think all black people have fully absorbed yet. We're taking our first bite of this apple just like everybody else in America, and even though we've taken a certain additional level of ownership of it because it's Black Panther and all that, you know, it's still something that we haven't seen before.
Yeah. I mean, one of my co-hosts, unfortunately, he's not here today, but Skinny, one of the things that he said regularly about this is he feels that...
Watching the movie.
Sorry?
He's watching the movie.
Yeah, he probably he called in sick so he could go see it another time. That's true, probably. No, but one of the things he said is he always joked that he doesn't think America's ready for this story, and I don't think he meant it as in they're not actually ready. But I think when you like you're kind of puffing up your chest and you're saying you ain't ready for this. I think he meant it like that. I
think he also meant it like, you remember when we're like, okay, let's see how this election goes with Obama the first time.
Yeah.
Like, they're not really gonna vote him in. Like,
yeah.
Just playing a slip. He won.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
like that whole Blackish episode.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
that's what it was.
That is exactly it. I mean, you've got Black Panther coming out in the middle of Black History Month.
Yeah.
And, that just additionally, I don't know if you've been to any premieres. I've been to 3. And with red carpets or purple carpets and, throw carpets, I mean, it's been just, crazy. The first one on Thursday, the pre-opener, it looked like the first 15 minutes of Coming to America.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Jaffe Jaffer to pull out, and I mean, it was no joke, man. It was nuts the way people were dressing up and getting it in, and the dashikis and the tribal garb, and I mean, it was amazing to see people pull up like this.
You yourself, do you want to describe to people what your costume was? And also, if you don't mind, I'd love to post a picture of it in on our site, on our page afterwards, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
But do you want to describe, because I saw your picture, the outfit you wore, I showed to a whole bunch of friends of mine being like, this dude's bringing it next level. I'm ashamed that all I'm wearing is a Black Panther t-shirt.
Well, let me tell you what my mindset was. So I was looking at all the Black Panther cosplays with the suits and, the Zentai suits and all that sort of thing. And I said, there's going to be about 30 of them running around.
Yeah.
I said, I wanted to really go to the next level. And I was really attracted to the scenes in the previews where T'Challa is wearing these really formal, just real slick African patterned, jackets and tops and stuff. And I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead on and order one. And so I went online and I ordered one from this craft person or craft shop that makes these out in Nigeria.
Oh, dope. Wow.
And and it took like almost a month to get made and sent.
Oh, wow.
And
went right to the source.
So this gold. Yeah, for anybody who hasn't seen it, if they look when they see it, it's got this gold pattern on the chest.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I also ordered a gold, I guess, tabard to come across the front of it.
Yeah.
And then I altered a mask, a Black Panther mask, to mimic the gold, because as we know, up until then, the Black Panther mask has been silver and black.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go with the gold, because I'm also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, so I thought it'd be like a little double nudge there. So I figured,
dope.
why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So, hey, if you're going to do it, right?
Yeah. Rep the colors.
Right? So I get out. That's what I was running around in, and we were at the premiere, and I was, Blerdcon was working with a couple of other groups in doing this promotion here in Alexandria, and I got out of my car, and as hyped as I was also kind of nervous, because I was like, oh man, this is so over the top. I don't know how people are going to accept it and all this. And I go out, and the line was around the block, and like I said, it looked like the line to go see the wedding for the King of Zamunda. I mean, it really came out. And I was like, well, I'm glad I dressed up, because if I had been wearing just some regular old stuff, I'd have been like, let me go on home. This ain't even me. I ain't ready for this one.
Yeah, I mean, in Montreal.
And so then we.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm done.
I was just gonna say, in Montreal, I wish we had.
There was a few people.
There was a few, but
I went on Thursday, and there was like a group. Like a small little group in the front, and then some people had their head wrapped and stuff like that. And then I think at the end of the showing, after everyone clapped and everyone was starting to leave, like some people stuck around and he took pictures of them.
Oh, cool!
And then they went to the Black Panther
The poster,
poster,
the
standing
thing,
and took pictures there, and everyone's like talking to each other. So
that was cool. I mean, I know, and one of the other guests that's hopefully fingers crossed can make it on his way. He organized a flash mob dance. And a lot of the people that did the dance with him were in traditional outfits. Not necessarily for like events, but just like comfortable traditional garb. That was one thing that I know a lot of. So I saw a lot of people being positive about the cosplay, but some people were saying be sensitive to it and make sure that what you're wearing is in line with the event. So you wouldn't wear something that you'd wear for a formal event if you're going to the movie. You know what I mean? The same way that like a person would say don't wear a Native American headdress to something like this.
Well, I did see people dress up as King Joffrey and his son and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Zemi and
no
all
rose petals on the ground, though. I saw no rose petals. Not that far.
So,
but to your point, my man, they there was a guy who was helping work the event who was African.
Okay.
And as soon as we started to see I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of people dressed in varying degrees of African garb.
That's amazing.
That was what popped in my mind. I'm like, okay, I hope somebody didn't just jump online and buy something not knowing what it was. You got some, Nigerian funeral garb, going to the party, I'm like, and so we were all kind of like looking out the side of our eye at the African guy to try to use him as a cue, like, okay, that's cool, all right, come on. And because there were white people in line. I saw an Asian dude in a dashiki. I saw a white dude in a dashiki.
Everyone coming to represent?
Hey, you know what? I mean, when we talk about sharing the culture, and you talk about trying to get that exposure, this is what it means. And they were doing the casual stuff just like you were saying, but it was really cool to see that buy-in, and it was just this really welcoming atmosphere. And if anybody knows anyone who's from Africa, most people I know from Africa are very generous with their culture.
Oh yeah,
They want to share their food. They want to share their traditions. They want to bring you in, because it's like there's strangers and there's family. They don't really have like friends. There's no gray area in between.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guy who we were kind of like taking our cues from was just over the moon. Like, oh, I see you're wearing the blah 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 so and so, and I was like, he cool, I'm cool, man. Let's do it. So it was really nice the way the atmosphere was laid out.
Yeah, I mean, I one of the things that I kind of wish I could have done was seen this in the States in a larger black community, because I was lucky enough to see their white people in New York with a mostly black audience,
right,
and not that Montreal doesn't have a large black community, but like in Montreal, for the black community to come out to an event together, you have to organize.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I would imagine for you, Hilton, when you guys are like, as a community, there's just a larger black community. You don't necessarily always have to organize an event to get the black community out in larger numbers.
You can't swing a cat in DC without hitting a brother. We everywhere. This is Africa West. No joke. The largest population of Ethiopians outside of Ethiopia is in DC. We got Africa. So it is definitely a chocolate city. It's got a nice little marshmallow center, but it's still considered a chocolate city. So you're right.
It's just that kind of cultural significance of being within the community when you get to experience something like that. And also, one of the things that is great about Black Panther is not just because of the significance to the black community, but significance to the geek community, because I feel like you and I discussed this last time you were on the show, and Jaws, we've discussed this. But growing up, you in the black community, being a geek, it's not that it's not it's not a bad thing, but you don't necessarily find all your fellow black geeks, your blurs, as we would say. They're not always easy to spot. Like a lot of people didn't know I was a blurred, for example. Everyone just thought I was like an athlete. You look like a football player because you're built like a. No, I never played football. I
didn't get that lucky. I was always a short kid.
Bro, they saw a geek on me from 100 yards away. You can see my socks. My socks shone through every outfit. I had more floods than Michael Jackson back in the day before it was cool. I was blurred before there was a word for it.
Yeah.
And I sat in that movie, and I don't mind saying I shed many a thug tear in this movie.
Oh yeah.
It's just such an emotional thing to see all that buy-in, because like I said, what we said in our last conversation is that this is the bridge between geek and cool.
Yeah.
Geek is becoming mainstream, and while we're moving a little bit toward, the mainstream cool stuff, I think the mainstream cool stuff is meeting us more than halfway.
Yeah.
When you've got the top rappers, the top actors, the top directors, and, you're creating, I'm saying it's the greatest movie of all time. Rotten Tomatoes just published an article saying that they rated it the greatest movie of all time. That's the headline.
Exactly.
Based on the ratings, rankings, and the gross, the estimated international gross.
I know, which is insane.
I can't even wrap my head around it. If you had told me, 5 years ago, that the Black Panther movie is going to do $400 million worldwide in 4 days,
right? Can you imagine?
And I still know people that haven't seen it. I know there's still people who are waiting and are going to go and see it for the first time, and they're going to take somebody who's seen it, and it's going to be one of those movies that people keep seeing and seeing and seeing. But that cultural phenomenon is, like I said, this is changing the discussion, changing the dialogue in the Black geek community,
yes, and
in the Black community in a way that I don't even think we've seen the full scope of yet.
Yes, no, I would 100% agree. You never, because when you're young, you don't think about it. No. That was one of the things a lot of the conversations I've been having with people is the importance of just seeing it. Mm-hmm. Just for a young Black child to see a Black hero on the screen. Because when I was young, I never thought twice about all the heroes being white. The closest I had to a Black hero when I was younger was, I guess as a teenager, I had Jon Stewart on Justice League. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other Black superheroes.
I think me would have been... Well, no, I was too young for Blade. I couldn't even really
watch
exactly.
That I watched Blade, but for me...
I would watch, Martin and Fresh Prince, and they would talk about Shaft, how they loved them back in the day. They'll talk about Jim Kelly, how that was their jam back in the day. You would hear about The Last Dragon, so Time Act, but that was all before my time. So I'm only seeing it through the eyes of either older cousins, shows in the 90s of people talking about stuff from back then, music videos with Busta Rhymes being shown enough. Yeah.
And from what you're saying, it's true that there was that kind of gap for a bit where, at least for us here in Montreal, that kind of cultural gap where those shows like Martin and Fresh Prince and all that stuff was your window into the Black community in the States. Yeah. And the heroes that you understood were...
Yeah, this movie, are we in a spoiler-free zone? Should we be careful what we say?
No, dude.
Are we...
So we're going to say it right now to the fans. You can spoil the movie. Guys, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen the movie, I would recommend pausing now and coming back to this episode. If you have seen the movie, sit down and enjoy. We are about to go through it in as much detail as possible in the time we have. Hilton, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to remark on the spiritualism and the adherence to an African story. The movie opens with the voice of a child asking his father, which is obviously T'Challa asking his father, T'Chaka, to tell him the story of, how, and you see these visuals that you tell this story in the same way, in the same method that they would have told this story, around the fire in a village, in Kenya.
Yeah, definitely. You got that sense.
Oh, yeah. You felt like you were sitting with that child hearing the story for the first time. Yeah. And we all were humbled by it because it was so sensitively done. It was so much, telling the story in a very mature way. And the relationship to, the different tribes and, the way they fight and the way they join and the way they work together and, what they unify around, the rights of success. That stuff comes right from African tradition, and we were learning that as we went, but it was being told in a sort of a superhero story. Yeah, there.
Sorry.
Things that were happening when there wasn't on the screen.
Sorry, Hilton, you cut out that last part. What did you say before the screen?
I'm sorry. I'm driving through a part of town where my cell coverage gets a little spotty. So if I drop out, I apologize.
No, that's okay.
But I was saying that such amazing things happened in this movie when Black Panther.
Oh, sorry. I think
the battle pit.
Yeah. Okay.
And
the Warrior Falls.
Amazing. Yes, thank you. The Warrior Falls was. Mm-hmm. I tear up 3 times in a row. Can't stop the waterworks in my own face when I see that. It's like, oh my God, it's
the
so
beauty
beautiful.
of it, yeah.
Just looking at that.
Did you have a chance to watch any of the videos where they talk about what the setup and organization of that scene was? How, all these stand-ins and extras and all the actors came and they had people playing drums and everyone, Chad, Lupita, all of them have said like it was easily the most beautiful communal, being traditional, bringing it back, feeling that love and that connection and feeling blessed in those moments. And Coogler was talking about how the first time everyone was there and he was looking at the shot, how he had to take a moment to step back because it dawned on him what they were actually doing. Because even when you're watching a movie, that first time when you see all the Dora Milaje are doing their dance and Nakia's on her ship with who I assume is a family member, uncle, maybe someone, because different tribes. And she's doing her dance, and then there's someone over here and someone over there, and all the little, like, they're all floating pontoons, yeah, exactly, are floating towards it. I got goosebumps then. And then when the Dora Milaje stomp and pop and the water drains and then they go down and everyone's standing, so when I hear that the director had to take a moment to step back, I mean, you get it. I get it. One of those things when I studied film is they always talk a lot about the director and the director of photography. The way things are shot is from their perspective because they're the one creating this image for you. So the fact that when I listen back to these clips where everyone's talking about that moment, and I did feel what they felt, you get the idea that they worked hard and they brought that moment to life for everybody. Which is huge.
Absolutely.
Huge. Beautiful. Easily one of my scenes. And I get why you said you shed a tear. I mean, I felt it too. For me, I think the first time I started to have feels was when he, like, definitely at that moment, but that moment where he comes out of the clay into the ancestral plane.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And looks at his dad.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, Baba. And you just... Yeah. I feel it right now. You get those goosebumps thinking about.
No. The scene. What was the line when he goes down on his knees and he's grabbing his father's hand and he says, "Stand up.
Yes,
you're a king."
Yeah.
And he's like, it's like, oh my God,
dude.
He's talking to all the black people on the planet.
Yes,
that
I know.
Hit me right in my.
I know.
All my Negro DNA.
It just lights up all of it. Yeah, man.
I went like that scene in Coming to America where they're at the basketball game and a king jumps up. Yes, in the face. I wanted to do that every time. It was
dude.
Oh man, like how do you even write? Even just writing that line down had to have power.
Yes,
I remember.
Yes, that was so beautiful.
I remember some people were putting the scene of The Lion King.
Yeah.
It's next to it, like where he sees his dad coming out from the plains and stuff and all that kind of. And it's like, that's the same feels. That's little me would. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that first time when you're a kid. Yeah, go Hilton.
And now I was going to say, there's some Easter eggs in there because, there's one gem we haven't seen in the Infinity Gauntlet, and that's the Soul Gem.
That's what I was just watching a video today where someone said that they're pretty sure that's why they come to.
You got all your ancestors that are immediately accessible in this particular place through this particular accessibility.
That's a good point.
And it's that tactile, and it is that, real. It wasn't. He didn't act like. You know what I mean? This is an intelligent man, highly educated, world traveled.
Yeah.
And he's like he was there.
Yeah.
Like. So there was a nugget there that nobody saw. I didn't even really get it till the third one. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Somebody's got the Infinity Stone down there.
Well, I kind of felt like
let me shut up.
I kind of felt like in Wakanda they kind of merge the two, like the spiritual and the technology together, and then like you have the rest of the universe, well, the rest of the world.
Yeah,
they kind of like have your Tony Starks that's just specifically technology, and then your
Doctor
Doctor Strange, and never
that's a good point.
And never the two shall join.
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah, that one of the things about Black Panther is the ability to use science and mysticism so well and not question it. No one makes it.
So,
go ahead, Hilton. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say that, I'm going to have a Hotep moment, so just bear with me. Don't get upset.
Okay.
Two things. Notice that to fly the flagship, right?
Yeah.
She's sitting in the lotus position.
Yes, Okoye, yeah.
Yep.
That's how you fly it, right?
Yeah.
So that just illustrates your point right there.
Yeah.
And I said this in a debate yesterday, and somebody almost punched me in my gut when I said it, but I still stand by it. But because of your statement and everything you said, the merging of spirituality and technology and how it has infused every aspect of their culture and their education and their intelligence, Wakandans, I watch now, Wakandans are the Asgardians of Midgard. Boom. There you go.
Ooh.
That's free. You don't even have to pay for that one. That was free.
Do we think we're gonna get Thor coming into Wakanda and be like, wait, like there's gonna be like a I see what you that's like, and he looks at his hand like, that's so cool. Okay, you guys figured it out. All right, you guys do your thing.
Yo, you guys, that's
like you know what I would like to see if in the Infinity War Thor kind of smacks like not smacks but like kind of lightly taps Black Panther on the chest, and he's kind of like, yo, I'm a king, and he's like, well, I am too. I apologize. And then he'll react to be like, oh, I apologize. And
like he'll like humble.
Like he'll be like, he'll kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be as friendly. I shouldn't be as familiar because we're both royalty. Excuse me. Like, like he kind of.
Well, along those same lines, I actually wrote a little mini review in a very emotional state, and I threw some unintentional shade at Thor, the original Thor movie. That if Kevin Branagh, bless his heart, he's a nice guy, he does good movies. But
he does.
If Kevin Branagh and the people who had made Thor had treated that story with the same sense of allegory and history and sobriety that Coogler directed in Black Panther, then the Thor DVDs would not be propping up wobbly tables all over the country.
Ouch.
It would. I mean,
it's not a good first movie.
Look,
it's honest.
I feel it's better in the second.
But if you think about it, it had a lot of the same elements and had that same potential. And I kind of walked into Thor thinking I was going to get what I got in Black Panther, this dynamic between the father and the son, and the rites of passage and succession, and the interventionalism and tribalism. All of those things were in the Asgardian story, if anyone's followed it through comic books, but it wasn't really highlighted. It wasn't fleshed out, and to see them do that, in Black Panther and the way they did, you're just like, feed me more. I can do this all day.
Do you think Kenneth Branagh kind of felt it was like a hit job? Like, I'm coming in, bam, do my thing, get out? Because I know they kind of got him and Anthony Hopkins, because Kenneth Branagh is way more known to doing Shakespeare stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're trying to go for, and that's what they kind of wanted out of him. I don't know if he had any reverence for Thor, or he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, and I'm pretty sure he's not the writer of that movie either.
No, he isn't.
So I mean,
you're
not going to get Hamlet version of Kenneth Branagh. You're going to get whichever other movies that he does that he's like, you know what, I'm going to do this, do my little thing on it, but I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to do everything I know I can do on it.
I mean, I feel like hold on, Hilton. Sorry. One of the things I just wanted to say is I feel like one of the things for that era of MCU, when they were in that phase, they were still trying to find themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's
part of the first phase.
Yeah, and I feel like
that's true.
What phase are we at now, anyway?
Third, end of
fourth,
the third,
I don't
or
even
start
know.
of fourth.
They haven't yelled at my face to tell me which phase it was. I forgot.
I think we're supposed to be at the end of the third phase, or if I'm not mistaken, Ant-Man and the Wasp dead, like last movie of that phase, and then it moves into the next phase. And the other thing is Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think, is supposed to take place before Avengers and Infinity War.
I think so.
from what I understand.
I think it is coming out like in April or something.
No,
like that.
it comes out later, but it's just the story's supposed to take place before, from what I understood.
Well, from my understanding, it takes place kind of after Civil War, no?
Yeah, so from what I understand is you have Civil War, where Ant-Man is imprisoned, and then he gets out.
Yeah,
and
Cap breaks him out.
Yeah,
and that's the last scene.
Yeah, exactly. And then you find out that because of Ant-Man and the tech that he had, and it's linked back to Hank Pym, Hank and his daughter, the Wasp, have been on the run.
Yeah.
And I think, but I mean, you know, one of the things I always find a little bit weird is about how they release the movies. Like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 takes place well before a lot of the other movies.
Yeah.
It takes place before Civil War, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But
they're not on Earth. They're doing their own thing.
No, I know.
Things
but it's
don't
just
revolve around Earth.
It's a little confusing if you're watching the movies in chronological order, just because then they're not in cinematic order.
Right.
If you watch them in the cinematic release order, they're not technically in chronological order.
Right.
Because Guardians 2 takes place only 2 or 3 months after the first one.
Right.
But yeah. So I mean,
it's like a comic book or something.
yeah. That's a good point. I mean, they actually are making the movies like they're comic books at that point. So Hilton, I wanted to ask you a little bit, and JawzD, we're going to talk about this as well. So some of the things that I've been seeing on the net, Hilton, I'm sure you've seen it, and I just wanted to get your comments on some of these discussions people have been having. Eric Killmonger as a character. A lot of people are concerned about how aggressive he is towards black women because of the way the character... So I'll just explain it a little bit.
Go ahead.
So in the movie, because I don't agree with it, but my job is not to... It's to divulge this to you so that we can discuss it and not necessarily have a side. But Eric Killmonger as a character in the story is shown to be an aggressive person.
Yes.
Easily. But the one of the articles I read made specific points to he kills his girlfriend, who's a black woman. Mm-hmm. He chokes out the elderly woman, who is now the new, I guess... he chokes her out.
New priestess, I
the
guess.
new priestess. He fights with the Dora Milaje, and he threatens Shuri, and he assaults Shuri, Nakia, Okeo, all of them. And so in the article, people were making points towards the fact that Eric Killmonger as a character is building his idea of black freedom on the backs of black women. So
I think that's a reach. I think they're reading way too much into the character. I mean, you have to think about it this way. You know, the majority of Eric Killmonger's story, as we see it, takes place in Africa.
Yeah.
So, and he's not really discriminate as to who he kills and when. Up until that point.
I was going to jump in and say, when he takes off his shirt and you see that every mark on his body, he says, "I've killed women, children."
Yeah.
He says who he kills, what he kills. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
From the get-go.
Yeah.
So it just so happens that all of the King's Guards are women.
Yeah.
It turns out that the person that makes all the tech is a woman. It turns out, the majority of the really powerful people in Wakanda standing up are women. Yeah. So I don't know if I don't 100% agree with that article. It's just that, hey, these are the baddest mofos in this country right now protecting what needs to be protected. Yeah. And that's what he's fighting up against. He's not fighting up against a dude. He's fighting up against women. And the women are holding their own. Yeah. And they're taking him to task.
Yeah. I mean, when I argued, because I argued same as you guys against the fact that he's aggressive towards women, I said the same thing. I said, first of all, you can only really count two of those moments that they've listed. Yeah. The one where he kills the girlfriend and the one where he chokes out the woman.
But he already killed the last priest. Right before that scene.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's what I said. I said he kills the girlfriend because she's expendable. Yeah. From what we saw, it seems like, and I know I'm reading into it because we don't have enough information, but based on movie tropes, this is what I'm assuming, he uses her for her tech. Yeah. Because they show her, she takes the break, she has the tablet or the phone, it's showing that she's looped the video. Yeah. And you move on. You know, those mini shots establish that this person is in charge of the tech.
And he also using Klaw to get into Wakanda. Yeah. Because he knows, hey, the only way I'm getting in is if with Klaw.
Yeah. If I bring something to the door
Yeah.
as a gift, they will be more welcoming to me. The second one where he kills, once again, we're spoiling the movie. So when he's fighting Black Panther, T'Challa, and then, Zuri steps in and tries to stop him and explains, I'm the reason your father died, not him. Take it out on me. I'll kill you both. Uncle James stabs him. The next in line for what I guess is the spiritual leader of Wakanda was that woman.
Yeah.
So I think when he chokes her and threatens her to destroy all the heart-shaped herbs, that had more to do with just who's in charge.
Yeah. One, who's in charge, and two, what he does, which is destabilize countries.
Exactly.
That's his MO.
Exactly. And then the last fights, I just wrote, I don't agree because those people attacked him first. And not to say that he was in the right, but the Dora Milaje attack him, and Shuri and Nakia attack him. He didn't attack them first. He wasn't aggressive towards, he's aggressive in general, but he didn't.
But he's like, well, this is my Kingsguard. I don't have to do nothing with
He wasn't the aggressor. He didn't step up and start just punching people all willy-nilly because, Eric Killmonger is crazy. I mean, he is a little crazy, but now the flip side...
Well, we also have to remember...
Yeah.
I was going to say, we also have to remember that, that Eric Killmonger is portrayed by Michael B. Jordan, truly even understands the depths of his own hatred. You got to remember, he's never been to Wakanda.
Yeah.
This has all been a dream up to this point. And his mission, everything he had done up to that point, was just to have the opportunity to get in front of the king and challenge him for the throne in order to enact his own father's vision. He is the living embodiment of his father's vision up to that moment, right? It's only once he gets the throne or actually gets into the fight with T'Challa that I think he really starts tapping into his own personal hatred of him. That resentment that he has is what starts spinning out of control.
Yeah.
And he goes all willy-nilly and starts killing folks. I mean, it makes no sense for somebody that would want to be king and would want to have his bloodline be king to kill the shaman who actually gives the Black Panther powers to the successive line, or to burn all the flowers that, give you those powers. I mean, I think he started coming unraveled after he came out of the dirt, where his own father, his spirit of his father, looked at him as if he were lost. That's where his father didn't shed a tear for himself. The tear came once his son.
He said, "We're both."
He said, "There's no tears for me."
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, "There's no tears for me. You're meeting your father." Now think about that.
Yeah.
T'Challa, when he went back to meet his dad, comes down on one knee, crying, humbled, reverent, just overwhelmed with emotion and everything. Killmonger goes in, sees his dad, and he's totally cold. He says, "No tears for me." He says, "Everybody dies."
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, I guess we're both lost."
Yeah.
And that's when his father actually starts a tear.
Yeah.
So I think
he does have one tear. He gets that one thug tear.
He gets that one Denzel tear.
Yeah.
He definitely had that. He had that glory Denzel.
Yes.
Because I mean, he's still human.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can tell that the last vestige of his humanity was probably left in the dirt when he came back out. That's when he was talking about, okay,
that's a good point. The last vestige,
I'm killing everybody.
Yes, that's a very good point. That last tear was that last moment of, this is the end of anything good in me. Because from this moment on, I have a mission. That's a very good point.
I remember another thing they were talking about, I was seeing online, was the theming. The theme of the movie, a bit of it, one of the many themes, was traditionalism versus progress. And a lot of the time, everyone's either, no, you have to be fully traditional. No, you have to be fully about progress. So Killmonger's more about, well, we're not doing all these old traditional stuff. Get rid of all this nonsense. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't want anybody. The reason he burns down that the garden is because he doesn't want anyone coming back to get a hold of that fruit and then toppling him.
Yeah.
He's just like, okay, I'm the only one here.
Or undoing what he does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever he does. Or undoing what he does. I got it. Yeah.
His approach very much is a colonialist approach of like, go in, take over, make sure no one else can follow the pattern you used.
Yeah.
This is amazing to me. If you think about this for one second, let's just take a step back. Almost all of the MCU movies, I don't think that we could have had this deep of an analytical story into the characters and the motives and the plot, you know, on movie one anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As we are with this movie. I mean, the fact that we're having this depth of a discussion about the first Black Panther movie, this isn't even like movie 3. This is like movie 1. We are all just getting introduced to Wakanda, and we're about to write a white paper on this thing. You know?
I would kind of say,
yeah, it's really cool.
I would kind of say like maybe a beta for this is probably Captain America's not Civil War, excuse me, Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
where like he comes out and he's like, oh, we're the good guys, and it's like, wait, why are we building all these preemptive things? This doesn't seem right, and he's questioning the country that he's supposed to serve. So like I would say like that would be like a beta.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Beta for this.
I think if we were to look at the movies in the Marvel, and funny enough, all the movies that are the strongest are all the ones you could have actual discussions. Mm-hmm. For me, the best movie in the MCU so far is Black Panther, and for everyone who's asked me what's your second, I say Winter Soldier, and those are the two movies that if I sat down and someone asked me, you know, why this long conversation we can have is why. Yeah. The fact that I can sit down and discuss and converse over all aspects of Wakanda, the motivations, the history, the culture, the cultural significance, the Afrofuturism, the next wave of it.
The actual good villain.
Yes.
That we want to talk about. That we're like, oh, cool. That like we're kind of like, oh, man, I wish he kind of stuck around.
Oh, dude, I 100% agree with you.
One thing I want to bring up is that what's really interesting about this particular character, about T'Challa, Black Panther, is that he's a very compassionate superhero comparatively to all of them, where in Civil War, he gets to Zemo.
Yes.
And he sees like, oh man, I was blinded by vengeance. Yeah. And this guy's blinded so much by vengeance, he destroyed people's lives. And Zemo tries to kill him. So he's like, no, you're going for justice. We're bringing you in. I'm not letting you kill yourself. You don't get off that easy. And then in this one, he shows compassion to Killmonger by letting him see the sunset.
Yeah, he takes him up to view the sunset.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I've had
that scene. That scene got me.
I did too. When he said, "Nah, bro, bury me in the ocean like my ancestors who knew bondage, who knew death was better than bondage."
Yeah.
I shed a tear. I did because
heavy.
I wanted to run a church lap around. just because the spirit hits you, just like you think about that for a second.
Yes.
And when you ask the question, why? What is the significance of having someone like a Ryan Coogler direct versus a Singer or a Snyder or anyone else who's doing superhero movies? It's because little pieces of the character that are allowed to stay, and his ability to recognize the importance of that dynamic in the character, because we as the audience are being confronted with our own history, in reaction to who Killmonger is.
Yeah.
To say, just think about it this way. Like, if there was a real Wakanda today, these are the questions that black people in this country would ask, and you're thinking to yourself like, oh my God, they're allowing this line of plot, this line of dialogue to continue to weave itself in and out of the movie, to say, on one hand, you have one extreme, which is complete isolationism, which obviously has been the Wakandan way since its inception of the Black Panther, to complete another militarism, where you go in and your interventionism, where you go in and you just take over countries and you rule because you're the most powerful and you think you're right. And I think the struggle was between these two philosophical, points of view, with literally the country, the entire country of Wakanda at stake on that decision.
Yeah.
And to see T'Challa bridge that gap, which is kind of what he was trying to do and he was struggling with.
Yeah.
To say, okay, we're not gonna go in and like stop all wars or pick sides or give weapons, but we're gonna let people know we're here. We're gonna nudge society and influence society in more subtle ways. And you see that at the end of the movie. Yeah. And I will tell you right now, that scene where the kid, and if you don't know the kid, he was in Moonlight and he's in the Shy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When he looks over and he sees this spaceship piloted by, black people, he's never seen anything like that. And he turns over and walks up away from the ship to T'Challa, and he's just like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, is that your
scene? And you're just like, "Oh my God, this is when they talk about representation and what it means for young kids." And we just got finished talking about that.
Yeah,
the movie spells that out without being blatant.
Yeah,
it lets us live through the characters and say, "That's me," or "That's my son," or "Look, my nephew's sitting in the audience, and that's him on the screen. That is what I want for him is happening in the movie."
Yeah,
and it's scenes like that, and it's moments like that happen like every 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah,
throughout this 2-hour and 40-minute movie. But that we could go all week on.
It really does. It did come across as a meta moment when I watched it, because it really was that moment of we, the audience, sitting next to our nieces and nephews and kids, and godsons and whatnot, watching this movie with them, and them seeing this kid go up to him, and just that moment of like them also being like, okay, so this is the movie is like the ship. It's the revelation of there is more for us as young black people than just the stereotypical stuff we've seen in the past.
Right.
And on top of that, T'Challa, as JawzD mentioned, being so compassionate is, usually, unfortunately, in movies, a lot of time, black characters are really firm and unbending.
Blade?
Yeah. Bro, yes.
Like Blade?
Yeah.
All of them.
All of them.
Blade, Shaft.
Yeah. And that's
Luke Cage.
Yeah. Yeah, Luke Cage is actually unbreakable,
Literally.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I love that they were able to do it. And like you said, it was just so perfectly subtle. It's just perfectly subtle. They didn't have to push it in our faces. And as much as I want them to, I wanted them to be like, hey, we're here. We're here. We're taking over. But they didn't have to.
No.
That spoonful of sugar approach, I think, is also important in the sense that Wakanda itself is planning to do that approach. Wakanda's not going to come in and just be like, we're here. It's also that moment of like, yeah, we're going to set up. And, what are you lowly farmers going to do? And a smile. Subtle.
Right.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I'm really excited for is also... Oh, sorry. Actually, I wanted to bring this up real quick. Throughout the movie, funny enough, there is a repeated theme that everyone is trying to convince T'Challa that Wakanda needs to either Nakia, where she's just like, we need to have more outreach.
Yeah.
Wakabi, who outright says, send me and my boys out there.
Yeah.
We'll take care of it.
Right.
Killmonger, who comes in and says, I want the throne because we need to be out there. It was a theme throughout the movie. Yeah. And it's not even just, it's not villains only. It's everyone who's trying to tell him, hey, we should be out there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting thing.
And it's that depth that works.
Yes.
I was gonna say it's that depth that I love the fact that it confuses the audience, and I look at other movies when I think about how they did that with this movie, and I'm talking about even Star Wars. I have not seen in the last few Star Wars movies a compelling argument for the Empire, other than absolute power, right? Yeah. You don't get a sense of why anyone outside of a stormtrooper outfit or rebel or Imperial Guard, ranking officer outfits, why they would want to be in the Empire. Like, what is it about that is better than what they have? There's no compelling argument for that. And here you are seeing everybody from the villain to the hero, all making points that kind of resonate.
Yeah,
like
that was something. That was something I liked.
Agree with that.
Yeah,
I can see where you're coming from. Like,
Well, I remember thinking to myself, and also hearing in another video, I think from Wisecrack, they're saying how Killmonger was kind of a little bit similar to Kylo Ren, where it's like you got to burn your past. Like, just destroy it. Forget everything. Just we're moving forward. Forget about all these things that we do, all these traditions and all that.
Yeah, the luggage, the weight. Yeah.
And like T'Challa's trying to balance between the two and do right. After he realizes what his dad has done.
Yes, and
he's like, we couldn't even bring our own home. We couldn't even bury my uncle. Are you kidding me? Like,
yeah,
they just left them there with the boy.
Got a pretty bum deal.
Did you know the actor?
Yeah, Sterling.
I didn't even like. It was only my girl like was nudging me like crazy.
From
and
This
she's
Is
like,
Us?
Yeah. She's like, oh my god, it's him.
I know. So many people were so excited.
Every scene you see him in.
I know. Yeah, because I wonder if. I wonder if they did that on purpose, knowing full well that he's on a show that already emotes so much sadness. Like This Is Us, I can't get through full like episodes because I'm like, not because it makes me sad, but because I know they're trying to make me sad.
Someone wrote on my wall, I just watched the first episode of This Is Us. I cried 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
Like and I wonder if like, you know, because casting directors are sly like that. Like, you know, did you cast somebody that already creates an emotion inside people?
I kind of personally feel this is like the 90s.
Okay.
Again, where like all the black movies kind of have everybody in it.
Yeah,
all the black TV shows, like the guest star will be somebody.
Yeah.
So like it'll be like a little rotation kind of going on, and everyone gets like a little play. Everyone gets to add on to their CV kind of thing.
Oh,
everyone gets to add on to their IMDb.
Remember though, this guy in This Is Us is a dad, and he's a damn good one.
Yeah.
So for him to come in and play a compelling father figure was not a heavy leap for the audience to kind of like. You don't have to convince us that you are a father who loves his son, and that's a given. So you get this built-in platform with him, and plus he's a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
But I want to go back real quick to when T'Challa goes back to the other side, the second time, and what you have never seen in any movie or any allegory, African story, you have never seen a son go back to the realm of the dead, or whatever you want to call it, in front of all his ancestors, going back centuries. You saw him, and cuss out his father.
I know,
That's never in my life. I was like, calm down, T'Challa. You gonna break out a belt.
I know.
I don't know, man. This movie, it lost me right here.
You got all your grandparents here too. They gonna help. No, don't do it.
I know this movie lost me right here.
You are wrong.
This is fantasy.
Like, oh my god.
This is high fantasy right now.
That's the fantasy right there. That's it.
High fantasy.
No, I
am dead. You cannot tell me what to do. I am gone.
100%. I agree with you guys. When I saw that scene, my first thought was, whoa, buddy, hold on. We're talking about some past Black Panthers themselves. Let's be careful with what we say to them now. Best keep some respect in that tone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I thought that scene was.
Wait, did you turn into the kid who was hanging out with the other kid who started getting in trouble with his parents while you standing next to him? You start sliding out of the frame. Let me get out of the way of this ass. I don't catch no belts.
Yeah, exactly. You just see that hand moving. You're like, no. And you just slide away.
You're on your own.
But that's the thing. And let's throw it back real quick with the Njobu thing. When one of the things that I saw, and one of the things that I was wondering if other people saw this, is Njobu was a commentary on what black people are doing to black people when they're in gangs and people are killing each other and they leave these kids behind fatherless. And I thought I saw that because, I saw it twice.
Okay.
I see you have a black man, you have his brother. He kills his brother.
His literal
brother. But also brother.
Yeah.
Kills him, leaves him there for the kid to just
deal with
with
no one.
You have no support structure. And that's for me, it made me think of stories I hear about. Here in Canada, we have Jane and Finch. There was gang activity that was so bad at one point, people were killing each other at funerals. The one thing you never do,
right?
Sunday mothers, children, funerals. You don't. People were killing each other at funerals, and then you just left it. It was just these people. That's it. It's done. Someone's dead. Some kids is fatherless, and the community does its best. But what do you do? And I feel like that scene where he kills his brother, and he doesn't kill his brother because he wants to. He kills his brother in a moment of defense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still that commentary of, after you've done that, what was your job? You still should have taken the child.
Right.
You still should have taken care of the child. Yeah, sorry, Hilton, go ahead.
And I was like, well, that's exactly what T'Challa was saying when he found out
exactly
what happened. he was outraged because he said in many ways and in many venues, he was saying, this is a monster we created because we made the wrong decision.
Yes.
You should have, and he's saying it to his dad, his cousin, he said, why didn't you bring the boy home? If you had done that, none of this would have happened. The only thing that would have happened is that you would have exposed the rebellion,
exactly.
and that lie that you wanted to preserve in order to keep Wakanda secret. And we're paying for it now with this monster that we created.
Yep.
And that is the exact metaphor you were just making of what is happening in communities all over the country, and even in Canada, where, you have this cycle of incarceration and murder, leaving, parentless children and fatherless children left to raise themselves in environments that are, just violent and cold, and you have people coming out emotionally stunted, angry. And this particular one just had the resources, the skill set, and the drive and the target.
Yeah.
Like, he had a target for all his anger and built his life around it.
Yeah.
So
Killmonger built himself.
I think they really did that.
Yeah, he built himself up from that anger.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if he starts out angry as a child.
It doesn't seem like it.
No, I think
like
if
he's outside with his friends, they're playing b-ball and stuff.
Yeah,
and then
but
you see the strip club.
after he finds his father dead, did he immediately? He didn't immediately turn into an angry person.
We don't know.
I don't think so.
Me neither.
Because I think as a child, if anything, there was a long period of sadness.
Smash cut into Creed 2.
Yeah.
He's in juvie hall.
Yeah. Truth. But I mean, that's the thing, right? You start out, it's probably sadness first. His father's dead. He doesn't understand. Then it's confusion. Like, why did this happen?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he figured out that his uncle was the Panther because he was the king, and when he saw the claw marks, he remembered, and that's how he put two and two together. Because originally I was just like, how do you know T'Chaka did it? But
well, because he already knew his dad was from there.
Exactly.
And
he had the book and stuff. Yeah. So you grow up.
Well, and he saw the ship. He saw the ship arrive, and he saw the ship leave.
Yeah.
So he probably spent a couple of years putting two and two
exactly.
together.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, the character, and that's one of the things Michael B. Jordan did so well. And like you were saying, he found that depth of anger and was able to channel that. And it's funny because when you listen to the interviews, Michael B. Jordan had a great upbringing. Yeah. He has a wonderful life. Yeah, he has all this. So I'm always impressed
he's more like the character from, what was that first movie he was in?
Fruitvale?
No, the other one.
Fruitvale Station?
Not Fruitvale, the other one.
Chronicles?
Chronicle. Like, he was like the nice
guy. Yeah.
He was the nice jock.
Yeah.
He wasn't a jerk. He wasn't he was just super chill.
I gotta say, I always love it when actors are just that talented that you can. I mean, actors are usually pretty good at doing stuff like that, but sometimes
they can pretend.
But sometimes sometimes you can also still see them in it, though, right?
And sometimes that's what we want.
Yeah, but I mean, watching this movie, I didn't see Michael B. Jordan at all in Killmonger, and I think that's. I mean, I was listening.
This is his first villain.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
I was listening to Danae talk about her writing process because she's also a script writer. No, not script. Oh man, écrivain. I'm saying it in French because I'm totally drawing a blank on the English word. But she's won a Tony for her. Oh, playwright. Thank you.
There you go.
She's a playwright, and she won a Tony, or she's been nominated for a Tony. And she was talking about her process and how when she was doing The Walking Dead, her sister said, "I there's this one scene in all of the season that you're in where I saw you, that one scene." And Danae laughed and she said, I think it goes to show I've done a good job if my own sister only saw me for a glimpse out of all the scenes I've done. And I would say the same thing for Michael B. Jordan in this movie. It was, there's an artist on Instagram, PS Diop, I think is her name. I'll have to find the link. She was drawing a sketch of Killmonger, and she said while she was drawing it, she couldn't tell if she was drawing Killmonger or Michael B. Jordan,
right? Because
they're different. She said the face, the like, there's something specific about the eyes. Yeah, and I mean, a good movie is made by its villain.
Yeah,
and
that's a really badass villain, really good villain. puts all the other villains like, hey, got to step your game up.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something that may or may not go over well with everybody in the listening audience, but I do this often. Everyone has been trying to compare Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger to Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. I've seen a lot of people do that.
And I totally disagree with this.
Okay.
I do agree that the quality of the finished product is in the same ballpark. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But I think that how they got there was different. And here's where it is. Michael B. Jordan as an actor was a huge factor in the successful pulling off of Killmonger as a character, right?
Yeah.
But he was written extremely well, and he was designed and he was put in this environment where he had all of these powerful, themes and lines and actors to that would allow him to do what he did with all the minimalism and nuance that he wanted to bring to it. It was more of a team effort is what I'm trying to say. I think there's more responsible for the success of Killmonger than just Michael B. Jordan. Whereas with Heath Ledger, Heath Ledger came completely out of his face with that Joker. Nobody wrote that Joker for him.
Yeah.
He was completely unrecognizable. And I've seen the outtakes where he stayed in character, like when they blew up the hospital.
Oh,
and he
yes.
jumped in the bus.
That was a
scene
mistake.
where they got a monitor on him just to see the people on the bus. They got a monitor on him. He's not on camera. He's not in a scene. It's just a monitor camera inside the bus. The building is blowing up. It is a real building. It was not CGI.
Yeah.
The bus is pulling off. He's in it. And he is so in character that he is not even turning his head to the left to watch this building collapse. He is focused, just looking forward in character. And so this guy, and I think, he went so deep into this character, it's probably part of what killed him.
Yeah.
But I think that is the difference. I mean, I think you have these two characters that exist in the same pantheon of great movie villains, but I don't think that you can say that, that Michael B. Jordan is on the same acting scale, so to speak, as Heath Ledger in this particular role, because, Joker had one person to play off, and that was, Batman.
Yeah.
Killmonger was playing off the Dora Milaje. He was playing off of his girlfriend. He's playing off of
Klaw, T'Challa,
his father.
The elders.
I mean,
Ramonda when he calls her auntie. Come
Hi,
on,
auntie. Someone wrote on.
Yes.
Someone wrote down. Was it when you bring that cousin over and they have no brought up C?
Yeah,
they're just not brought up right, and they're just like, "Hi, auntie." Like they're very unsettling. Yeah, just like.
I got to say,
get him out of my house.
Just one more thing with Heath Ledger. I thought you were gonna say that the scene where the hospital blows up, that scene, that was a mistake. The hospital was supposed to blow up way more.
Absolutely.
And it didn't. And so he's playing it off like he's smacking the remote, like, hey, this is supposed to boom boom, and it goes off more, and, like, and he just like scurries off.
Yeah.
That wasn't even planned. Yeah, that was improv because it's like it delayed.
That was definitely improv because the explosives did not go off in the right sequence, and that whole scene between the last explosion and the big one was just him, just doing what he does in the moment. So, yes.
Which was really good.
So I just wanted to do a quick breakdown of the characters, just to get a sense of, which character did what. Because, we talked about the movie, but we didn't really tell people about we went in deep on what we felt. So for anyone who's tuned in and who hasn't figured it out yet, we were talking about Black Panther, the movie, and T'Challa is the new heir to the throne because his father passed away, as we saw, the new king, as we saw in the Civil War movie. Now he comes home. His job is to try and, carry on what his father has started to build. And in that moment, he reaches out to an ex-lover or ex-partner. I don't know if they were lovers, but maybe they were romantic.
Yes, I'm gonna say yes because the beginning of it was "Don't freeze."
Yeah,
I never freeze.
I never freeze.
And then he freezes. He straight up freezes.
And
everybody knows about it.
If I was in a moment, just standing next to Lupita, I would freeze. She is just the image of beauty in the film. Just the energy, the skin tone, the wish, everything about her was perfect. But yeah, so, Nakia Okoye is there. We get to see the Queen Mother. We get Shuri. We get Ayo. We get the story developing. Decisions have to be made. What is the future? How do you go about it? They find out that Klaw's out there. They have an opportunity to get him. Wakabi's there. Wakabi kind of wants things to be taken care of. And so we go into Korea. Things start to get a little crazy, and so on and so forth. The movie leads to Killmonger, who is working with Klaw, and then everything that we've talked about so far comes into play here. Now, someone who stole the movie for me, two characters who stole every scene. Oh. Shuri and Okoye.
I know where he's coming. I know where you're going.
For me, it was Shuri and Okoye. I thought Okoye stole every scene Okoye comes into, just because I'd recently read the Coates run of Black Panther. I read the Priest run of Black Panther, and I read a little bit of the McGregor run from the Marvel's Jungle Stories back in like the 70s. So to see, Okoye is not there in the first one, but she's there in the Priest. She's there in the Priest and Coates versions. To see that character done so well, and so like just having that camaraderie with the king, that comfort, that relationship.
Well, because that's his bodyguard.
I know, but that's what I loved about it. That kind of that level of comfort and just because I think bodyguards are chummy with.
Well, because I think she would be the king's straight up the king's bodyguard.
Yeah,
because before it was the other girl when he was the prince.
Yeah,
technically. Yeah, she was just there at the time.
Well, let's also not forget that she's more than just the king's bodyguard. She's
the general.
Of the Dorman Line. She is his advisor. On many things. True. And that's why she never leaves his side, and she kind of understands where he may not be she knows where his blind spot is. And you saw that in the opening scene where she tells him not to freeze. When he sees her, and he's like, "Huh? What?" And he freezes. And then she has to show up and get his back because he's standing there trying to holler. And she knew he would.
It was so well done.
Dudes in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Come on, like
that's men. That's men. I'll admit that one.
I thought you were gonna say Mbuku.
Yeah.
Oh, yo.
That was gonna be my audible. That was gonna be my
Mbaku. It's easily the line, the vegetarian line.
Because I wasn't expecting him to come back. I was like, oh, that's Man-Ape, whatever. He's done. Like he comes and does his thing. And like, wait, we're back here again?
Yeah,
we're back. Okay,
that was well done.
There's more. Oh, he's got jokes. Oh, all right.
Yeah, they turned.
Right. They turned. Actually got they're putting a personality.
Exactly.
In Mbaku in the Man-Ape.
Yes.
Like what?
I know. I agree.
And even the most non-depth character in the Black Panther universe is ripping one-liners every scene in the third quarter of this movie.
Are you finished?
Every scene.
And he's like one of the few people to put Ross in his place.
Yeah.
Like T'Challa and his guard. Like they let it slide. They're like, I can't believe this dude.
Yeah, when he touches.
Yeah. And then this guy straights up. You're in my house. You're in my throne room.
Do not speak again.
You're not allowed to talk. Stop it.
That was wonderful. I gotta say, no, you guys are right. I mean, you know what? When you look back at the cast,
like that's the late. That's in the pocket. That's the last play. Like, all right, don't forget.
I mean, I could say they all stole their scenes because they do. I mean, the reason I was saying Shuri because for me, Shuri, I'm an old Bond fan, right? So Shuri doing the Q thing, with the tech, that scene was like on point for me because it's one thing to grow up seeing an old British white dude do it, but but to come in and see this young, vibrant black woman, smarter than Tony, knows her, riffing on with jokes, throwing down.
Yeah,
it was great. I loved it.
Yeah,
you're all of it.
She really did steal the movie. She's one of those people that the movie could not have happened without.
Exactly.
Like if she wasn't there, you would have been like something was missing. I don't know what was missing. You wouldn't even know. But she brought so much of that.
She brought
emotional intelligence. Yeah. And vulnerability with power, strength, and this very strong sense of self,
and
playing off of her brother. Like her brother is like in Civil War, T'Challa is the stoic, angry, I don't care, I mean, he's really like, no.
That movie.
And half of the scenes where he's being, what's the word I'm looking for, where he is being not taken down a peg, but she's poking fun at him.
Yeah.
Like even the scene where he walks into the lab and looks around and says, "What are these?" And she says, "No, the real question, what are those?"
Yeah.
Like I was like, "Oh my God!" I almost passed out laughing.
I like
the fact that she was able to bring that just made it work.
I like that scene. I know a lot of people don't like the "What are those" line because they feel such an old joke or old meme, basically.
Still good.
But I mean, for me, it's like she's younger than we don't know how much younger, but I think the fact that she says that shows how much younger and where her mindset's at, because we also see that she kind of doesn't do traditions super well, or she still does her own thing.
The levity that she brings to every scene was what balanced out a lot of
where she's giving the finger and the queen doesn't have to turn around and say like, that's not very ladylike.
Yeah,
better knock that off.
I think she tries to preempt the ceremony at Warrior Falls.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Yeah. When is there anyone else of royal blood who would like to to challenge for the throne? And she raises her hand and does that whole spiel about, can we hurry this up? This corset is uncomfortable. And Ramonda has to be like, girl, because that's the thing. As young black people, at our age, we've all seen that. I've seen my aunt say to my cousin when we're at church, and my cousin's just like, "Can we go now?" And my aunt, she's just like, "Hush!" And like, you've seen it. So to see that on any level, a princess and a queen,
people, this is what's called discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline your kids. You nip it in the bud one time. You not snap one time. You don't let that go on. Oh, I didn't need to express myself. This is not the time.
It was great, and I really feel like Shuri brought levity to all her scenes, and she was vulnerable when she needed to be vulnerable. She was strong when she needed to be strong, and I mean, you can say that about all the characters. But like I said, for me, it was just the idea that instead of seeing an old British white dude doing the tech scene,
well, now it's a young Indian dude in the Daniel Craig one.
Oh yeah, that guy. But I mean, either way, it's still. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say a quick note on old white dudes. Can we just take a moment for Andy Serkis?
Yeah.
Who just, I mean, he brought Klaw out.
Oh yeah, the mixtape line
that was so legit.
The mixtape.
I mean, look, I knew he was a villain from Age of Ultron.
Yes.
And you kind of knew who he was and where it was going.
Yeah.
If you're in the know, you kind of knew who he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew who he was going to be and who he was, but to see him fast forward to this, where he's crazier, he's obviously got a couple of screws loose, and Ultron gave him like $10 billion.
Well, I mean, like,
he's got this new hand.
Well, I mean, like, if someone, like, if a whole country labels you by branding you, I don't know how you escaped, but they just branded him. Remember that? So I mean, yeah, of course you're gonna be a little bit.
And then a giant robot cut off your arm.
Yeah.
Destroy the world. And now you've got all this money. He's probably high on those drugs. He's got a new mixtape coming out.
Yeah, well, supposedly people are actually. From what I understand, people are actually trying to get Disney and Marvel to release the Klaw
mixtape. And someone wrote.
People. Me.
There was someone wrote in the comments of that section. Like, I remember reading, it was like, Die Antwerp is somewhere on there. Die Antwerp has to be somewhere on that mixtape.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, Serkis.
I want that mixtape.
Me too.
I want to hear it.
But yeah, Serkis is one of those actors that can. I mean, he was Caesar in the Planet of the Apes movies.
He's always CGI characters, and he does an amazing job. But they never really want to give him any props. They kind of should, because he does a lot of work with that.
He was also Gollum.
Yes, and
he actually auditioned for Dolby in Harry Potter, but didn't take it because he didn't want to be associated with always being the little creatures.
So like,
weird eyes.
So personally, I feel like I remember there was a meme going around where it said basically, oh, there were 6 Lord of the Ring movies, there was no black people in it, and people are getting mad that Black Panther only has white people, and it's like, no, there's 2 white guys in this movie, and it's Bilbo Baggins and Gollum doesn't even need like CGI on his face. Like we actually get to see the man's face and get to see him act, get to see him do stuff,
and he's
without
good.
it.
He's expressive.
Are you saying that these are token white guys?
I love that other meme.
One
I
of
was
the
like,
best puns.
I wish I couldn't get that. I wish I got that pun out first, but oh well. Everyone's welcome to the
Tony
table.
Stark style, beat me by 1 second.
Everyone's welcome to the table. Everyone's like, oh, I don't like this movie. There's only black people. I was like, well, there's 2 Bilbo Baggins and Gollum are in it. Why aren't you coming out to support them?
Yeah, all the haterade out there, I've just been ignoring it. I don't have time
Is it okay for me to see? When is it okay for me to see it? Day one, whatever.
No one's
gonna hurt you.
Go to the movie. Go see the movie.
I remember when I went to go see, was it Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Man? There was white people in the crowd watching it with all the other black people. So I don't understand why people feel like, oh no, I can't go because I'm gonna get beaten up.
Nah, whatever.
It's such a dumb.
To be fair, now if this were a Medea movie, depending on what city you're in, I might tell you to sit out the opening weekend. just because people are going to be talking, you might not be ready for folks. You don't go into a theater, ready to hear a fork strike a plate. So you might not. The opening weekend for a Medea movie, if you ask me, I'd be like, wait till Monday, save yourself, you'll be good. But this one is not that. You're absolutely right. This was a movie for everyone. And it was for everyone. And what I really loved about this, I meant to talk about this when you brought it up earlier, but the fact that, this idea of representation and inclusion in the faces and the eyes of young black kids is not just a message that goes out to young black kids. And I saw this last fall, the fall before last. I was in North Carolina, which is my home state, which is very white and politically very red. So you don't see the same politics and social dynamics there as you see in D.C. So I do have to turn off certain culture shock, things when I go back and forth. So I was at Oak City Comic-Con in Durham, North Carolina, and I'm walking around, and I see this white guy, obviously a dad, with what looked like maybe about a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. White kids too, by the way. And they are both in Black Panther cosplay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And yeah, that was the same thing in my head. I was like, well, all right, then this is a year and 4 months before the movie. Yeah. And I walk up to the dad because I wanted to take a picture because, this whole idea of representation and, how racism is taught and having that deprogramming affects everyone in a positive way. The fact that he told me, he said, yeah, sure. I said, did you dress them up? He was like, no, this is all they wanted to do.
That's awesome.
They only wanted Black Panther. Everything's Black Panther.
That's awesome.
I took a picture of the kids. The kids had poses ready, and there was no sense obviously with the dad, but definitely with the kids, there was no sense that they were not supposed to love Black Panther as their favorite superhero because he's black and they're white. They didn't even seem conscious of the racial difference between them and the character that was their favorite. They could have been Superman, Robin, any number of 100 characters and nobody would have blinked an eye. But here they are head to toe in Black Panther cosplay.
That's awesome.
And that was before the movie. So who knows what's going to happen down the road as this movie just plows through, the box office records, for weeks and weeks and months and months.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot of positive stuff like that. So I just wanted to make note of it.
One of the things, and similar to what you were saying, I have a friend who this morning messaged me and he was asking me, do you think it's okay for me to take my 10-year-old son to see the movie? And I mean, I think it should be okay.
It depends on your kid.
Yeah,
how do they handle
the violence and stuff?
How did they handle Winter Soldier?
Yeah, there's headshots.
That's what I would say. How did they handle Winter Soldier? How did they handle all these other movies?
Specifically, he was told about how Zuri dies, and he said that there's I think an IMDb for parents. He was saying where it kind of explains some of the things you should watch for your child.
Yeah, makes sense.
And he was saying that
trying to get up on things.
the Zuri being stabbed in the gut was something that people specifically said might be a little much for a child. I thought the headshots, because he kills a girl, he shoots the other guy, he pops Klaw, and showing a dead Klaw in a bag, those were things that I thought maybe for a child you might want to avoid.
Black Panther getting stabbed in the gut in the chest.
And like slashed on the leg. But what I did say to him was, because he was saying it might be a hard sell to my partner because she's more the one that would be probably more uncomfortable with this. And I said to him, because he's white and the kid's white, I said, if anything though, it's as important for your son to see this movie as it is for any black kid to see this movie, because the idea is to introduce everyone in the world to the normalizing of black heroes, Latina heroes, heroes of color, heroes of female heroes, transgendered heroes. Just
exactly.
introduce, like you want to normalize that.
Yeah.
So if he's seen all these other MCU movies, but then you don't take him to see Black Panther,
seems a bit off.
That exactly. And that's what I was trying to say.
I've been in a theater where I went to go see the first X-Men movie, and there was two kids in front, and they were talking, so I'm like, whatever. And then the scene where Magneto starts pulling apart Wolverine in the train.
Oh yeah.
And one of the kids was like, "No, it's not scary. It's fine. It's fine." And the other kid couldn't handle that.
Yeah, he was freaking out.
He was freaking out, and they had to take him out. They did like the parents got up and like, all right, we got to take him out. He's not feeling this. Yeah. So I mean, I feel it depends on your kid. Yeah. What were they when they were watching all the I guess the more grounded MCU movies? Yeah. And they had the violence going on. How did he handle that? Was he like not feeling it? If he's comfortable with that, then I would definitely go see the movie for sure.
I mean, as a parent, you know what your child's limits are. At least you should.
Yeah.
And I don't. And once again, I don't think it's because he was. I think if anything, he was questioning it because of the fact that I guess he read the IMDb parenting thing.
Yeah.
And they made it sound.
All those are going to be subjective.
Yeah. If you saw like you were saying, if you saw Winter Soldier. Yeah. You can see Black Panther. Not that you should introduce kids to as many violent things as possible. I'm not preaching.
We're kids from the 80s.
Yeah,
we're watching RoboCop, Terminator 2, Die Hard 2. Guy gets
definitely.
stabbed with an icicle.
I definitely saw way more movies.
And as a kid, we're like, okay, Die Hard 2 is a bit much. Even though like T-2000 stabbed some dude in the eye.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, icicle in the eye, that's a bit much.
But that's the thing. And it's hard, because I told him, I'm just like, I think you could take your kid to see it, but like Jaws is saying,
you got to know your kids' limits.
Yeah, really. Kids from the 80s, like for me, I would take any kid to see almost any movie, and that's why I'm not a parent yet. That's a big part of it. But speaking of Forrest Whitaker as Zuri, that's my one comment about Black Panther. My one comment is Zuri is not as he is in the comic book.
Okay.
And I feel like they could have used one of the other characters, because there's a character that Zuri even looks like. Like the way he looks like in this movie is the way that character looks in the comic book. My one comment is why did we change Zuri? That's I mean, it worked. I'm not upset about it. You didn't do me wrong.
Is Zuri the first one?
So Zuri in the comic book, in the Priest run, is as big as Killmonger. He's as big, maybe even bigger than Killmonger.
Okay.
And he is T'Chaka's like the way Okoye is to T'Challa. Zuri was to T'Chaka.
Right.
Like right hand, knows it all, got my back, and I'm okay with them changing Zuri. I just wonder why change Zuri. Zuri is a.
I have a guess for that.
Okay,
and
cool.
I think it is in the. I think the reason why he's not that powerful character is because in this story, the way it's told, and we don't find this out until halfway through the movie. This is a man who has chosen this semi-solitary monastic life for himself, built in a way upon the guilt.
Yes, that's a good point.
What we discover.
That's a very good point.
And because he's not a warrior, and because he's in these shadows, and he comes out, for these very specific things, but he's not running around the king's chamber. He's not advising the king. He's carrying that weight of that lie.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason why he has chosen that life, it's the same reason why people who've done something horrible in other movies would become a priest, to try to, pay back and do good and kind of, beat out the karma or whatever you want to call it. And I think he was defeated. I think there was a part of him that was defeated from that, because when he told the story, you could see that shame in his eyes.
Yeah.
That even though he kept the secret and obeyed his king, he knew it was wrong. He knew it was bad. And even after the king died, he didn't even want to tell T'Challa. That's how bad it was.
He's like, I don't want to.
I think that's why it worked. I think that's why you needed a Forrest Whitaker to carry it. Yeah. And on a more comedic side, the actor that played him, in his younger years, his name actually is Denzel Whitaker. So,
really?
From The Great Debaters. Yeah, he's from The Great Debaters and other movies. And it was ironic in The Great Debaters because he was playing opposite of Denzel Washington and Forrest Whitaker, and his name is Denzel Whitaker, and he's no relation to either one of them.
That's so funny.
And so, that was the joke. I was like, well, why is he playing him? Like, well, it's Denzel Whitaker. What do you want to do? It's right there,
Yeah. Because I like
my only real concern though, and again, this is just me and my nerd OCD, and it only happens with my nerd stuff. It's not any other place in my life. Is that there is no way that Zuri or even T'Chaka could age as much as they did from 1992 to 2017.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of looking at it like,
that's true,
y'all put some city miles on yourselves after that. You don't go from...
Hey, man, that guilt is real. That guilt is real.
Yeah, man, that's... JawzD is right.
That guilt is heavy.
I know they had to do it that way because Killmonger is a certain age, but for them to be as old as they were, they need to go back not to 92, maybe like 82, maybe 72. But I knew Killmonger can't be 50 years old, so you gotta, I get it, but I'm kind of like. 25 years ain't gonna put that kind of gray hair on a brother. That's not gonna happen. But okay, I'll suspend my own reality for this. We'll keep the story going.
I think for me, the thing I kind of didn't like too much was probably the fight for the thrones. I don't know, like
at Warriors Falls.
At Warriors Falls, like, how do I put this? Like, I was expecting a little bit. Maybe more stunt work from the actors, I guess.
Okay.
But only because, like, my brain was like, oh, man, Winter Soldier had some really good fight scenes. And they pulled back the camera. While in this one, like, the camera was close, and then you had the water flying around.
Yeah.
I still need to see it. I want to see it in 2D and see if it makes a little bit more sense. Okay. And I felt those particular fights were a little bit slower compared to the other fights that happened in the movie. But I think those fights are more purposeful. There's more of a story being told. T'Challa has a
trial
spear,
by battle. And,
a spear and a shield. And that's kind of conveying his character. While Killmonger gets a spear and a sword. And then he breaks off the spear to make it more shorter. And he's just going with two short weapons. And then also M'Baku, what was he using?
Kind of like the rounded hammer thing.
Yeah, he was using his spear with the round end.
Yeah.
It was like a walking stick, I guess, is the best way to put it, with the round end, so it's more blunt.
Yeah.
And then maybe a hammer, or he was using a shield.
I think they call it a flail.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just the Dungeons and Dragons kids. That was.
So like
D&D reflux came out.
But I think the fights are maybe more methodical, and it's not as fast paced because, like, oh cool, look at all this stuff going on. Maybe it's purposely done that way. But me in my head, maybe I'm thinking about it a little bit differently, but maybe I need another viewing of it. I think that part for me was a little bit I don't know, maybe
that's fair. That's the whole point. I mean, it can't be perfect. It can't, as much as we want to say, as much as we joked about the day we do this review, we would come in here and say the movie was perfect. The movie is almost
episode
perfect.
is 5 minutes done.
Yeah. I mean, for me, those fight scenes were good. The reason I like the fight scene is because it incorporated so many different fighting styles. Like, you could see T'Challa has multiple different fighting styles in his style. Like, at one point, the flip he does where he, like, M'Baku, where he flips over and like does a capoeira move and grabs his neck with his legs, pulls him down and pulls his arm. Yeah, that was like that capoeira style
into like jiu-jitsu, Brazilian
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
like all the mixes of the different.
And also on top of that, the fact that how he ends the fight. He doesn't want to break his arm. No. He doesn't want to fall off. He's trying to show compassion to him.
Yeah. You have family to take care of, which is once again a commentary because the father left behind somebody, but T'Challa is different in the sense that I don't want to do this. You're like a brother as much as they're enemies.
And like that, they're purposely they're the ostracized group. They kind of like, we only come down to like for the throne. That's it. You know, and they make it very much known.
Yeah, I think that's the crux of it. I mean, it's a ceremonial battle. Yeah. For which they don't fight in
for survival.
I'll give you an example. Right, they're not necessarily fighting for survival, and they're not necessarily fighting to kill each other.
Yeah, no,
even though they don't want to get killed, right?
Yeah,
and of course, the Black Panther has had his powers reduced, so he can't really do a lot of the super stuff he likes to do in other scenes. Now, the reason why I know, because I understand exactly what you're talking about. There's two reasons for this that kind of that allowed me to forgive it or at least understand what it was about. One is that I actually got to see the contrast in the fight scene toward the end of the movie where there was reckless abandon. Like, you see them fighting all out. Like, okay, they know how to choreograph a fight scene, so they obviously did this deliberately.
On purpose. Yeah, that's why I kind of like holding back. Like, I can't ding it because that's there for a reason.
Yeah, this is a ceremonial battle. If I lose the kingdom, but I don't want to die. Let's not fall off this cliff. That kind of thing. Yeah. But then you also had the way they formatted it. You know, they kept closing the circle. You had the Dora Milaje on one side, and you had the Jabari on the other, and with their spears and swords kind of moving closer in. Like every time the battle would come together and they would fight, everyone would take a step in. So they didn't have that much room to go dancing around.
Okay.
Like it was like this vice. So they really had to do things like that capoeira move and the jiu-jitsu and the more close combat. And I think that was kind of the purpose of having it that way. So maybe they don't fight for days. People got shit to do.
Yeah, because in the comic book, when they have the fight in the comic book in Priest's run, when they have the fight, they fought for 3 days straight. Oh, and they even take breaks, like they sit together and eat and argue over the politics, and then would get up and would rest. Like at one point, T'Challa says to Killmonger, "That's enough for today. I'll see you. We'll continue tomorrow," and leaves, and then comes back. I remember when I was reading it the first time, I was just like, "What the hell's going on? What do you mean?"
Well, because
you're just sitting there talking to your
everything's
enemy.
a different speed over there. You know, the only reason people fight that fast up here is to keep warm.
Yeah, true. North America. That's awesome.
Keep moving.
We didn't talk about our boy W'Kabi. I just wanted to. If people are saying he's 0-2 for picking the right side of things.
What was the other joke? Was he got out of the sunken place and went straight to Wakanda?
Yeah. I mean, I think Daniel Kaluuya.
That's a badass line that his girl gives him.
Which one?
It's like, "Don't you love me?" "Yes, but I love my country and my king."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh man!"
I mean, you can see W'Kabi's motivations in the very few and short things that he says, and that's one of the things I loved about how Daniel
and his actions.
Yeah, how Daniel played him. When he does the first one where he says to T'Challa, "Let me and my boys go out there and help clean up things." Already you can see he's motivated by wanting to make the world a better place. His anger over the fact that T'Chaka didn't, or as he perceives it, didn't do anything for 30 years.
Right.
I thought it was going to be different with you. It's more of the same. The fact that when Killmonger brings Klaw to W'Kabi, that he was so quick to say, "Okay."
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, you did what I wanted done. Let's take a look. Brings him to the palace. And then when Killmonger gets the throne and Okoye is trying to explain to Killmonger, the reason we've survived is because of how we've handled things.
Right.
Some people felt that W'Kabi betrayed T'Challa in that scene. I think W'Kabi stayed true to who he was.
Exactly.
Because he said earlier the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So it's not. I don't feel because some people are just like, well, W'Kabi's a turncoat. I mean, when he attacks T'Challa on the field later on, that feels like a turncoat move, and I get that. But in the throne room with Killmonger as the rightful winner of the battle for the throne, and W'Kabi is part of the advisory committee and is telling him how he feels things should move forward, I feel like W'Kabi would have given T'Challa the exact same advice.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not about being a turncoat.
No.
So, I mean, some people are quick to paint what he did in a negative way, but I think, if anything, one of the things that you can say about W'Kabi is W'Kabi stayed true to who he was, even to a flaw. You know, when keeping it real goes wrong.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I agree with you 110%.
Yeah.
You know, I never saw him, and like I said, I saw it 3 times. I never saw him as someone that was betraying T'Challa.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because he, at no point, you think about it, he didn't fix the fight.
No,
nope. They didn't violently overthrow the throne. This was all. It was a legit challenge.
Yeah. And Baku even says it.
He lost legit.
Yeah.
He doesn't intervene. He doesn't help. He doesn't even cheer. You know, he's not even cheering or booing. He's just standing there. And, you know, so he did, and him bringing Killmonger into the throne room, he'd have done that anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, even if he didn't have the ring, it's like, hey, you know, even if he didn't have Klaw, you're like, hey, you know,
this guy showed up at the border.
Here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what the hell? You know, he would have done that regardless. So you're right. He you know.
Yeah,
he's getting a bad rap.
Yeah, but I think Kaluuya is a great actor.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things. I mean, well, when they were casting this one, it just goes to show it came down to cast talented people, and you will get an excellent performance out of them. And can
I ask a quick question?
Of course.
I remember prior to this movie coming out, Samuel L. Jackson complained that he wasn't in the movie as Nick Fury, and you said, yes, he should be, Brian. You said, yeah, he should be. How come he's not in it?
I said he should be because I felt that as one of the main black actors in the MCU, give him the honor of being amongst his own.
But I felt he shouldn't. I felt he shouldn't be because I felt Nick Fury being in Wakanda, associating with Wakanda, doesn't make sense because they're just super isolationist.
Here's the thing: you don't have to put him in Wakanda. The scene. Hilton.
I'm sorry.
The scene.
I'm bringing up old stuff.
I'm just picturing. I'm picturing Samuel Jackson in any of these scenes calling somebody a motherfucker.
Yeah.
They wouldn't stand for. They wouldn't stand for it. He'd be dead.
Imagine.
Yeah, the Dora Milaje would have snapped that neck real quick.
They would have stabbed him quick and then threw him away.
Yeah.
But sorry, go on.
Yeah, no. So for me, so in the scene, here's the one scene where you may have been able to put Nick Fury, and unfortunately, it would have reduced Martin Freeman a little bit. If you would put Nick Fury in as being one of the Shield being the one trying to acquire.
Shield doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, so sorry, Nick Fury as a spy who still has all the money in the world. Because he still has all his connections.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should have done this.
No, but I'm just trying to keep it within the context of the end of Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
When everything's exposed and he's on the run. So
he's on the run. He knows the vibranium's there. He
knows about Wakanda.
He knows about Wakanda.
But I don't think I don't think anybody really knows.
He was investigating Wakanda in the Iron Man movie.
Yeah, but I don't think they know what they know. Like, I feel if Freeman didn't know. Like the general everybody didn't know.
It depends. If you're gonna stay true to the comic book, then Nick Fury knows about Wakanda because Nick Fury met. I guess they're not staying true because Captain America doesn't know about Wakanda.
Because I mean, depending on what you're
reading, Nick Fury knows about Wakanda because he, along with his Howling Commandos, worked with Azuri, the grandfather, T'Challa's grandfather, in the same run you were talking about, the John Romita Jr. run of Black Panther.
Right.
The one that they did.
The one where he meets up with Captain America, a young Captain America.
Exactly.
And he really stressed that, a young Captain America, and he beats him.
Yeah. And that in the
grandfather beats him.
Yeah, in the original story, the Howling Commandos are helping fight Hydra because Hydra is trying to break into Wakanda to steal vibranium to create more weapons during World War II. and the Howling Commandos help out, and Nick Fury's aware. So if you were to use that thread of the 616 universe and mesh it into the 19999 universe, I would have said Nick Fury would have had interest in trying to acquire vibranium, and at which point he would have been at the casino in Korea.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say.
That's the only place.
The casino scene is the only place he could have been.
Exactly.
And it's the only place he would have had reason to be.
Exactly. And that's why I said it would have taken away from.
Behind him,
it would have taken away from Ross.
Resources to get him in there.
Yeah.
Because what I'm trying to figure out is in the movie universe, does everyone know he's still alive?
No.
So all
Maria
of a sudden,
Hill doesn't know he's alive.
So the fact that he would pop up.
But it would be undercover. Klaw doesn't know who Nick Fury is.
I know, but I'm just trying to, like.
But Klaw, T'Challa doesn't know who Nick Fury is because, as far as I know, they've never met
him.
So if Nick Fury showed up in Korea and was trying to do the deal,
you're telling me that he would be he'd be at least with one of his own, but the scene he's in has nothing to do with Wakanda. He's in South Korea.
My point wasn't that he
should
should
be three of the cast of the whole.
My
cast.
point is not that he should be in Wakanda. Okay. My point is that when you make the movie that focuses on the black culture and the black community, Samuel Jackson saying "I want in" makes sense to me because he's been representing the black community thus far in the MCU. Him, Don Cheadle, and Anthony Mackie.
Yeah,
those are our black. Those are the people that we see the movie through their eyes as young black men. At least for me, that's who I connected with. Yeah. So for him to,
I think they could have put.
Go on.
I was going to say they could have put him in a casino scene and it would have been low impact if he had just been gambling alongside Stan Lee.
Ooh.
You know, just knowing he was
just
there,
keeping an eye on things,
and maybe he pops off a couple of shots when things go south because he's Nick Fury, but he don't know who T'Challa is or why he's there. He doesn't know. Well, he might know who
Nakia.
Martin is. But,
yes.
Klaw and all that stuff. He might be going after Klaw, not even know the CIA and the Wakandans are looking for him too.
Yeah,
and you could have done it.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't have added or taken away from the movie.
I agree.
And he's shooting Shaft too right now. So
care.
He's got his own thing going right now. So
I was gonna say.
Oh well.
I was gonna say for me, I'm on a no.
That's fine.
I'm on a no on it outright, just because I feel that they probably finished the script at that point. Two, I feel seeing Nick Fury would probably detract from the Black Panther movie. And I would feel it would be like another Iron Man 2 situation where you're trying to cram in all this other stuff that's outside of specifically your story about Black Panther. I feel it just keeps it more focused.
I think if you have a good director, the director could have done everything you just said without ruining the movie.
I disagree.
And I think it would detract. I don't
completely.
think so. I think a director could have put him in easily and it wouldn't have taken away. Because I think that if you are a good director, you can use any piece and any pawn in play, and no one is the wiser about why you made that decision. They just let it go, and it's on the screen. What you're describing is, and it's the as I call it, the Jason Alexander syndrome, where Jason Alexander, as an actor, has issues getting roles later on because of who he played in the past. Seeing him on the screen detracted from things, but that's because of who the actor is, and you're saying that Samuel Jackson as a character would detract from the scene. But if you had a good director and the scene is well done, it doesn't detract from the scene. He's just there.
But usually Nick Fury's in any movie and he's talking.
That's what we're saying. He doesn't. Hilton's example was the best.
He doesn't need to talk, but
Hilton's example is the best. If he was there next to Stan Lee, keeping an eye on situations as well he should be, being Nick Fury in the 616, in the 1610, in every version of the Marvel Universe, Nick Fury is always aware of everything. He trades in information, and he's always done that. So it would not be outlandish for him to be in a scene where vibranium is being exchanged for diamonds, where the CIA is making deals, and a Wakandan king shows up, even if he doesn't know anything about Wakanda, a Wakandan king and a spy, who Nakia is a spy, something Nick Fury would be aware of because he's aware of the spies in the game. They could have done it.
Because I feel people are aware that Nick Fury's dead and stuff like that. I would assume.
Sure, but I'm
And
saying,
it should be like,
yeah, but are you saying Nakia knows who Nick Fury is?
I'm not saying everybody knows who he is, because I'm pretty sure
Because he's not Bond.
I'm pretty sure
where he says his name every time he walks into a room.
Wakandans don't
No,
care.
they don't care. They don't know who he is.
They don't care.
That's what I'm saying. Klaw doesn't know who he is. Freeman doesn't know.
We're assuming.
No, at that
He could definitely be in that casino gambling and hanging out with Stan Lee. And for all the reasons that were said, because there's diamonds and vibranium and all that stuff. And shocked to see T'Challa and his entourage walk up in there as anybody else because they didn't tell nobody. And then things they don't really have much time from the time they walk in to when the stuff hits the fan. So you wouldn't have to have like this long drawn out presence on the screen from the time T'Challa wins however many millions of dollars he wins and then walks away from it, till the time gunshots start going off and then it goes
he throws the guy over
South Korea. Yeah, you get you get a good maybe 3 minutes of MFers, and this is some repugnant stuff that I'll never forgive. All his favorites. He can do whatever line he wants to do because he's Nick Fury.
Nick Fury is.
You get your hit. You get your fix.
Nick
you
Fury
stop scratching your veins in your arm. You got your fix, and you move on. I get it.
Because he's.
But I think
master spy.
Coogler probably had something else in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's.
I created a movie that aside from Klaw and Agent Connor. Sorry, is it Connor? What was his name?
Freeman?
Ross?
Sorry.
Is his name Freeman? Ross. Thank you.
Everett
Aside
Ross.
from them, those are the only two windows, if you will, to any part of an outside story that come into this. Everything else is about Wakanda. It is in Wakanda, and it happens. And Civil War, not Civil War, but Winter Soldier was kind of the same way because I had arguments with people on the flip about Winter Soldier, like, well, where was Iron Man and where was Thor and where was the Hulk? I was like, all this stuff happened in the dark.
Yeah,
exactly.
This wouldn't have shown up on anybody's radar until battleships started falling from the sky. Which
exactly.
Was like a 15-minute sequence.
They're
and
spies.
Who knows where Tony Stark was? It's not like. It's not like Captain America can just jump out anywhere and yell "Avengers Assemble!" and just come out of nowhere.
Because
this was a covert
spies
operation
Hydra,
of a secret organization. Right, it was a takeover of a secret organization by an even more secret organization in secret.
That's why I felt like
all the stuff hit the fan. Nobody. Who are they going to call? Ghostbusters.
I felt like the movie. I felt like the movie, if anything, Winter Soldier for me, it shouldn't have been a Captain America movie. It should have been a Black Widow and Captain America, because the whole movie centers around the idea of spy culture, and you can't tell me that Natasha is not one of the most important spies when it comes to the Marvel.
I liked how they used her.
But that wasn't the purpose of the movie. The purpose of the movie was to turn Bucky from the Winter Soldier into Bucky Barnes and freeze his butt in Wakanda so he could be ready for Infinity Wars. It was also to bring S.H.I.E.L.D. down so that when the Infinity Wars comes out, you don't have a bunch of Asians getting stomped by Thanos, but you actually have Avengers and Guardians and other superheroes that are taking the front line. And it was also to tell stories about, the modern surveillance state and all that other stuff. So I get it. I get it why they did it that way, because the story they wanted to tell had a purpose on the other end. Like if S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't fall,
had to establish certain things.
It was something that had to happen in Phase 2. And it was the perfect vehicle, and they did it right. But you're right. By itself, if this had been just something that happened on like the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then you could have told 1,000 different stories. And ironically enough, they had to put the brakes on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if you remember, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s plotline was getting ahead of the movies, and they're like, we need to give you guys a throwaway season like Naruto.
I know. And that's what hurt.
That part around for a couple of weeks.
That really hurt the show, if anything.
Oh, my God. I hated it. I tuned out.
Yeah.
I just tuned back in when they went to outer space.
Yeah. So we unfortunately have to wrap up, because we're already quite a bit over the time that we usually do.
Oops.
Which is fine. I mean, we knew this was going to happen when talking about Black Panther. We play a game called DTD, and I don't know. I'm going to explain to you what it is. We give you 3 characters, You drain the powers from one character, you team up with the other character, and you defeat the last. It's essentially like the game Fuck, Marry, Kill, but with superheroes. Or supervillains in this case. So,
wow, okay.
So I'll go first. This one is Battle of the Black Panther Villains. We're using the comic book versions of the characters. So it's M'Baku, Man-Ape, Eric Killmonger, and Klaw are the three. So in this situation... you're
not ready. You're not ready.
I knew who I wanted to originally pick. It's just that every time I think about M'Baku, because I think of him in the movie and not the comic book, I always want to drain him because he's so cool in the movie. But in the comic book, he's a horrible character. Like, he's not really a great guy. So if anything, what I do is I'd probably drain Klaw.
Yeah.
Which means, unfortunately, I'm no longer physical form. I'm just pure energy in a suit. But I'm picking him because of how powerful.
He's solid sound.
Yeah, he's solid sound, exactly. And he can create the same thing like the Green Lanterns constructs. He can create constructs from solid sound.
Yeah.
So I would drain Klaw. I'd team up with Killmonger because he's strong as hell.
Yeah.
He's intelligent as hell. In both versions, comic and cinematic, he's a force to be reckoned with. And then, unfortunately, I'm defeating M'Baku. So that's mine. Jaws, you want to go?
Ditto. But Klaw technically cannot die. Kind of.
True, yeah.
In that
sense. He's
just
pure sound, yeah.
He's just pure sound, so he just goes on forever. He can eat. Doesn't need to eat. Doesn't need to sleep.
Yeah.
Just keeps going on. Team up with Killmonger because he's a smart dude.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be on his bad side. He'll figure out a way to kill me.
He's defeated T'Challa twice in the comic book. So.
And sadly, the M'Baku I'm remembering is from Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and he's very throwaway, and I'm very much sure it's very similar.
Yeah, in the comic book, it really just comes down to he's a usurper. He just wants the throne. So. Yeah. That leaves you, Hilton. What do you think? Whose powers would you drain? Who would you team up with?
In that combination that you made, or do I bring my own?
No, it's the same three characters: M'Baku, Killmonger, or Klaw.
But comic book editions.
Okay, well, Man-Ape definitely gets drained.
Okay.
Because he is just ridiculously strong, and he's definitely he's got the drive, which tends to win in the Black Panther stories. Power never ends up being the determining factor in who ends up on the last page of a Black Panther novel.
That's fair.
It's all about like desire and preparation and things like that. Killmonger's got to go because his motives are just he wants to be T'Challa, and you can't team up with someone that in their DNA wants to be you and then ultimately wants to kill you and all that. So in order to win, it has to be T'Challa and Man-Ape.
It's Klaw. Klaw's the other one. Not
Klaw.
Because it's the villains.
Yes, versus Klaw.
Okay.
That's the one I killed.
All right.
Okay, that's fair. So, guys, that was the show. We knew it was going to go long, almost 2 hours.
Oops.
Talking about Black Panther. But I feel like one of the things...
Such nerds.
Yeah. Plus, there was so much to be said.
Yeah.
There's so much to be
Very
said.
Much so.
The other guys from the show weren't here today, so I feel like we're going to end up discussing Black Panther again.
Yeah.
For sure. And, one of the guests that we were hoping could make it, unfortunately couldn't in the end, but even he wants to come in and do a segment. So, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Still got one more week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Still got one more day to do it. Black Panther, Black History Month, still got one more. One more. We could do it.
Well, I know that, it's true. We should be able to do it. The 28th, that's the last one.
Yep.
The other thing is, from what I've seen, most of the embargoes that people have put on discussing the film end tomorrow. It's 1 week. They're just like, we gave you 1 week to see it. If you didn't see it, too bad.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, so, it's good that our podcast comes out on Friday, so people...
It's too bad I've been posting up stuff like, these are where all the costume influences come from. This part of...
Yeah, JawzD has been
North
relentless.
Africa, South Africa, East Africa, West Africa, all over. So I'm just posting all that stuff. Oh, look where all the costumes come from. This is explaining this. This is explaining that. Check it. Learn something.
He probably has a lot of angry friends who have
no one.
You wouldn't know. They unfollow you and they don't tell you.
I don't care.
No, I know. I'm just telling you. You probably have a lot of people who are just like, you're giving away too much. Unfollow.
I have a lot of friends. I told a coworker of mine. She was like, "Oh, I don't have you on Facebook." I was like, Go and see the movie first, then add me. Because there's too much stuff on my wall that would just spoil everything.
So, Hilton, do you want to tell people where they can connect with you and a little bit about Blerdcon real quick?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks. Blerdcon 2018 is going to be on the weekend of July 27th through 29th. Some really, really exciting discussions going on. We just announced Karen Ashley, the Yellow Ranger,
as
one of our headline guests. So you get your Mighty Morphin. Hey, it's 25th anniversary of the Power Rangers, so it's going to be like a really big thing. I'm inviting all these Power Ranger cosplayers and performers to come out. It's going to be amazing. You can find us, of course, on our website at www.blerdcon.com. That's BLERDCON.com. Our social media is Blerdcon DC is our community page. We also have a group and an event. We're on Instagram at Blerdcon DC, or at Blerdcon, and on Twitter at Blerdcon DC, where you can see we discuss a lot of the stuff. We're posting a lot of stuff. Discussing Black Panther. It's just been a really, really great week for us. We're going to be at the Oak City Comic-Con, on the weekend of the 18th, 17th and 18th of March, followed by AwesomeCon here in D.C. You can find us there. We got panels. We got a nice exhibit booth. We have a DJ. We're giving away free candy. We're a party wherever we go. So come on down. And speaking of come on down, I want to see you guys come down this year. Really looking forward to meeting you guys. So book those Southwest flights. Amtrak, boat, goat. I don't care. I want to have, I got you guys badges. You don't have to pay for badges. You're on the house.
Nice.
You guys have a great time, and we'd love to have you. So thanks for having me.
Of course, man.
It's always a great discussion to have. I really have a great time nerding out with you guys. And you call me, I'm there, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming through. I really do. Thank you so very much, man. It's always great to have you on the show. And so
my pleasure.
Everyone tuned in. Blerdcon, definitely check it out. It's an amazing event. I remember I was so upset that I couldn't go last year, and I saw all the pictures, and I was it was a double-edged sword. I was upset, but I was also so happy to see all the things, all the pictures, and just how happy people were, which made it okay. Like, I lived vicariously through the joy of all these cosplayers. It was pretty great. It was pretty great. But yeah, thank you so much. And I'll reach out to you, and we'll get you to come back soon.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Take care,
man.
man.
Take care.
And then, that's the end of the show for us. Thank you guys for tuning in to Geektastic Cypher here on FranklinArmstrong.com. JawzD, what do you want to tell the people?
You can catch me at Transformers Slag on YouTube, and also Geeking Out at the Tower podcast. We're starting up some new episodes.
Yep.
So you can catch that at GOATTCAAST.com.
There you go.
And Transformers Slag, Transformers SLAG on YouTube.
There you go, kids. So that's Geektastic Cypher. I am Brian Doc Holiday. You can follow me on Instagram at Brian Holiday, HOLIDAE. You can follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at A Strong Franklin, and on Facebook at Franklin Armstrong, DOTCOM. And then that's about it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't drink and drive, always wear your Jimmy caps, because safe sex is good sex. That's the end of the show, you wonderful people. We'll be back next week.